This is called AI generating dreams and turning Wi-Fi routers into cameras to see through walls. Huh. All right. All right, let's do it. Let me make sure that the volume's up.
The latest paper, the one that happened even after this, which is already better, uses stable diffusion, uses the thing that you use to make art. Like, what should a thing that you use to make art have anything to do with reading your brain? But of course, it goes further. So in this one, they said, can they understand the inner...
Hold on, I'm going to move this. I don't know if this is going to work, yeah. You still see it fine? I'm putting it on this screen so I'm not like the whole time. So I can actually watch it. Give me a second. Okay. All right, here we go.
So in this one, they said, can they understand the inner monologue, the things you're saying to yourself in your own mind? Mind you, by the way, when you dream, like your visual cortex runs in reverse, so your dreams are no longer safe.
Wait, what did you just say?
The things you're saying to yourself in your own mind. Mind you, by the way, when you dream, like your visual cortex runs in reverse, so your dreams are no longer safe. But we'll try this. So they had...
Okay, so when you dream, your visual cortex runs in reverse. So basically your brain is working backwards. So like your visual cortex would go this way if you're awake, and if you're asleep, it goes that way, which is interesting. He's saying it's no longer safe because it's interpretable, I'm assuming is what he means. I'm not 100% sure. But interpreting those thoughts that you have that you say to yourself, I mean, I have that all the time. I have an inner dialogue 24/7. Like when I'm doing this right now, I have an inner dialogue going right now. And now I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about it, and then I'm talking to myself and asking myself, why am I thinking about this? And then I was thinking about, I haven't put the chat up for a second, so hold on a second. So less reverse, more mirrored, inverted as opposed to reverse. I get what you're saying, but let's see what they say. Let's see.
Had people watch a video and just narrate what was going on in the video in their mind. So there's a woman, she gets hit in the back, she falls over. This is what the computer reconstructed the person thinking. See a girl, looks just like me, get hit in the back, and then she is knocked off. So our thoughts, like, are starting to be decoded. Yeah, just think about what this means for authoritarian states, for instance. Or if you want to generate...
Oh, hell no. You do not want to know what these intrusive thoughts that I have all the time are. Nobody needs to hear what I don't say. Nobody needs to know what I don't say, because I promise you that 90% of what I'm thinking, I do not say. In almost any situation. To think that something can really nail it like that, it's kind of like that collar on Up with the dog that's like, you know, I'm hungry. I want this. Or Steve, the monkey from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. That is wild.
Generate images that maximally activate states, for instance. Or if you want to generate images that maximally activate your pleasure sensor, anything else. Okay, but let's keep going, right? To really get the sense of the combinatorics of this.
Let's go.
How about, can we go from Wi-Fi radio signals, you know, sort of like the Wi-Fi routers in your house, they're bouncing off radio signals that work sort of like sonar. Can you go from that?
I said that. That's what I said. I said sonar, didn't I? I think I said that. I was saying radar, but I meant sonar like a bat, right? Where it bounces, or was it whales or dolphins? Where it bounces the signal off of things so they can judge distance based on how long it takes to come back. Basically, it's exactly what they're doing.
Routers in your house, they're bouncing off radio signals that work sort of like sonar. Can you go from that to where human beings are to images? So what they did is they had you know, a camera looking at a space with people in it. That's sort of like coming in from one eye. The other eye is the radio signals, so sonar from the Wi-Fi router. And they just learned to predict, like, this is where the human beings are. Then they took away the...
Okay, wait, but how do they... So they have a camera looking at a room with people, and then they have... Oh, okay. It has nothing to do with somebody looking. I was taking that wrong. It has nothing to do with somebody looking through one eye at the camera and one eye at the radio signals. It's literally the computer is looking through one eye at the camera signal or the camera feed itself, and the other eye is actually looking at the radar or Wi-Fi signals. And as this moves, and it's learning, it's teaching it that this means this, that these are equivalent in different mediums. It took me a second.
And they just learned to predict, like, this is where the human beings are. Then they took away the camera. So all the AI had was the language of radio signals bouncing around a room.
Which it can read.
And this is what they're able to reconstruct. Real-time 3D pose estimation, right? So suddenly AI has turned every Wi-Fi router into a camera that can work in the dark, specially tuned for tracking living beings.
Okay. So that was basically everything I was trying to say when I saw that pop up on my phone. So they're saying that the difference is they were always able to do this with the signals. The difference is now is that AI is able to interpret it into a recognizable image-esque type output where it can identify it versus, oh, there's something there. It's actually it's a person there. It's able to identify and reconstruct. I mean, quite literally. Okay, so here's a scenario. Can they take this and go to a murder scene? Okay, pull the data from Xfinity or wherever, anywhere with Wi-Fi. Pull the Wi-Fi data in the home during the time frame of the murder that could have happened and reconstruct it and convict people based on it? I mean, that's scary. And if they have been able to do this, why haven't they done this? Why haven't they used this in cases like that, right? That is a good application of something. Now, but on the flip side, then people are like, well, if you give them an inch, they can swim all over. Do you give the, authorities access to this type of information just because they want it or need it, or say they want it or need it? And what if AI was like, me, and had a glitch in the system and decided to make it look like me versus look like a skinny 6'4" person? Maybe I have a glitch in my device and my TV is from 2015. Is that going to affect it, or is it just the Wi-Fi signal? There's so many factors. I'm just saying on one hand, I mean, who wouldn't like to have some majorly crazy cases solved? But on the flip side, it's a slippery slope to allow that type of access into what little privacy we have left. We invite no privacy into our homes. We invite somebody in our home all the time. We have our devices on constantly. We post in our houses. We post on our front porches. We post our license plates and the general vicinity of where we are. We post the time of day. People can calculate if they wanted to. Not like anybody needs anything from me, but I'm just saying. And then, did you notice they snuck that in there? Because obviously the reason I said this was the whole Wi-Fi thing that we were talking about. But generating dreams, okay. I can understand them and I get what they're saying, but I think that title was misleading because they were talking about dreams. They were talking about being able to interpret through brain, like the brain activity, the internal thought process into words. Like they watch this and brain says this. So they're saying with dreams, if you're sleeping and they monitor that activity, they should be able to pull your dream, what you're seeing, And yeah, that's crazy though, because like I said, I taught you do not want to know what I don't say. I already say enough. Can you imagine if I didn't say things anyway? That was really cool. That zigzag static. I mean, they only have 1.87 thousand subscribers and they have 100,000 views on this. I think that that's wild to me, but I think this is awesome. And I love this type of content. In fact, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to subscribe to them and I'm going to click on them because I want to see if they have more. What happens when, okay, so they do a lot of stuff with frequency, music. Oh my God. Conspiracy, the spirit behind the music industry. Oh, so they are fodder for future videos. Let's go. Anyway, that was interesting. Super interesting. What do you guys think? If you were a family member of someone who was tragically murdered, right? And you knew that the authorities had the ability and the access to use this type of a technology in order to find the killer and know exactly what happened, right? And they could reconstruct it, but they weren't going to use it. And they didn't want to use it because it's an invasion of privacy and they didn't get permission or something. And like the lawyer fought, like, oh, no, there's no permission. However, Wallflower, I'm not talking about later. I'm talking about like if this was legal thing to do. I'm saying just in theory. This is all hypothetical. This is all in theory. Would you be angry that you couldn't use a way that is able to pinpoint who hurt your family, right? You'd be mad. But on the flip side, just the fact that they're compiling all of this data all the time. Now, what if anything that is able to be generated by a computer can be manipulated? I don't care what anyone says. Everything can be manipulated by the right people. I'm not the right people. I don't have the money or the resources. But if you know what you're doing, I mean, they have hackers and coders and all kinds of stuff, and they can manipulate anything. But then how can you prove it wasn't manipulated? And how do you prove it was? It just is such a slippery slope to allow that type of invasion of privacy. I mean, what if it got it wrong? What if it got it wrong? What if it was a ghost? Oh, that would be wild. What if it could I wonder if can it detect presences? Like, what if it said there's somebody in your house and you're standing there and there's no one there? And then you realize, like, is your house haunted? Or did it, like, overlap from someone else's house? That's creepy. That's creepy. Now, I understand that it is not a proven technology. Do you think it's not going to be very, very soon? Pfft, give me a break. Give me a break. Do you think they're not already using it? Of course they're already using it. Of course they are. Of course they're using it. Whether they're allowed to use it in court or in a case officially, no. But do you know, I mean, that's how they do a lot of that reconstructive stuff. They type in a couple numbers and they can decide that the person is exactly 6'3" when they shot someone else. What if you had your arm aimed differently because your shoulder hurt and you're actually 5'3", not 6'3"? I mean, you know, there's all these factors they don't take into consideration, but still. It's a slippery slope. All of it is. Anyway, that was a really cool video. I love stuff like that. Because here's the thing. I get that it's not being used currently at this moment. That has nothing to do with anything at this point. It has nothing to do with anything. It's hypothetical and theoretically what can they use or what can they do or what is ethically should they do, and at what point is it allowing enough that they immediately can abuse it? I mean, we see it all the time with all different types of things. We see it all the time where we allow and we just let it slide because of who's doing it. Like people using AI to make music and then putting it on mainstream on billboards and releasing it like as general music. And then saying, well, you know, it was, you know, for this specific reason. Everybody's like, oh, okay, well, because, you know, it was that crazy. We'll go ahead and we'll accept it. And then they start doing it more and they're like, well, you already said yes. Can't take it back now. It just shows, I mean, they do it all the time where they test the level of what we're allowed or what we will allow and tolerate when it comes to these new technologies and stuff. People were against AI. No, don't get me wrong. Generative AI is not my friend. I do not like it. I do not like it when people claim that generative AI is their art. That is not a thing. That's a whole other conversation I've had. However, they keep poking it and saying, okay, and people go, oh, no, that's not okay. A year later, they try it again and they try it again until people are like, well, you know, technically I can make myself look really cool because I can make myself look like a different person and I can dance around. So they're accepting it. See, they found the medium to which people would be accepting of that same exact thing that they were against before. Once they find that opening, they start pushing it through. Next thing you know, it's common. That's what's happening with AI right now. Anyway,